Welcome to today's Explainer. We spend literally so much of our lives working for money, stressing about money, and just trying to pile up more of it. But what if the way we actually think about wealth is completely, fundamentally flawed? Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating mystery right at the intersection of money and human psychology. We're going to figure out if financial freedom is actually about the numbers in your bank account or if it's entirely about what's going on inside our heads.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered why a person who earns $30,000 a month can feel incredibly stressed about money, but then another person earning 3 lakh rupee a month, literally 10 times as much, can feel the exact same level of anxiety? It sounds completely nuts, right? I mean, society constantly tells us that money problems just magically vanish the moment our income goes up. We're sold this persistent myth that the next salary raise, the bigger house, or that shiny new car will finally make us feel secure. But the reality we see all around us every day proves that's just not true.
Think about two wildly different earners. They're both lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, worrying about their finances despite having vastly different incomes. This really forces us to ask a tough question. What if the biggest threat to your wealth isn't a lack of money at all? What if the real enemy is actually something happening inside your mind every single day? As you'll see, you can out-earn a lot of things, but there is absolutely no way you can out-earn a scarcity mindset.
So let's look at hijacking the ancient brain and the evolution of scarcity.
To make sense of our modern money problems, we actually have to take a quick trip back in time. For thousands of years, humans literally struggled with genuine life-or-death physical scarcity. Our ancestors were constantly worried about just finding enough food and not getting eaten, so their brains evolved to aggressively chase immediate rewards, because, frankly, tomorrow was never guaranteed. Fast forward to 100 years ago. People had limited choices. You bought what you needed, and you only compared yourself to the folks living in your own village. But today, wow! Before you even roll out of bed in the morning, you can grab your phone and immediately see someone your exact age driving a luxury car in Dubai, flying first class, and projecting this flawless, impossible lifestyle. Our ancient brain is just completely overwhelmed by this instant global comparison.
And because of that overwhelm, we fall right into a trap. But here's the thing. The addiction we develop isn't really to shopping. The real addiction is much, much deeper. It's an addiction to dopamine. Every single notification on your phone, every flash sale, every new gadget drop, and every luxury lifestyle reel you scroll past, they're all fiercely competing for one thing: your attention. In today's economy, your attention is basically the most valuable currency on the planet, and massive industries are built solely to capture it and give you that quick dopamine hit.
Moving into our next section, selling identity, not products, the modern marketing trap.
And this brilliantly illustrates how modern businesses rely on decades of behavioral economics. Researchers like Daniel Kahneman proved a long time ago that human beings are not perfectly rational. Marketers know that if you feel even slightly insecure or a little left behind by that global comparison we just talked about, you are perfectly primed to open your wallet. That's why they rarely sell you the actual product anymore. They sell you an identity. A watch is almost never sold as a machine that tells time. It's sold as success. A luxury car isn't just transportation, it's status. And a specific brand of clothing isn't just fabric to cover your body, it becomes belonging. They are selling the feeling of being someone important.
So, here is a really uncomfortable truth. People don't buy what they need. They buy what helps them feel like the person they wish they were. And look, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a better life. But the danger begins when we try to solve temporary emotional insecurities with permanent financial consequences. Think about it. Someone might commit to spending 3 whole years paying off an EMI for a phone that's going to feel completely ordinary to them after just 3 months. Or they buy a massive luxury car just to impress people who will literally stop paying attention to it after a week.
Which brings us to the true cost of spending, where money is time.
When we make these emotionally driven purchases, we usually only ever look at the price tag. But the real cost is so much heavier than that. You aren't just spending cash, you are spending the hours, the days, or even the years of your life that you traded away just to earn that cash. Imagine a really high-earning spender who exhausts their massive salary just trying to maintain an image. Now contrast them with a lower-earning investor who ruthlessly controls their desires, ignores the exhausting status games, and just invests consistently. After 10 or 20 years, who do you think actually has more freedom? Obviously, it's the person who learned to master their impulses, regardless of the size of their paycheck.
There's a great quote that hits the nail on the head. Freedom does not come from having everything you desire. It comes from not being controlled by every desire you have. This is why ancient philosophers and modern psychologists always arrive at the exact same conclusion. Financial problems are, at their very core, psychological problems. Money is just a mirror reflecting our inner behavior.
In fact, if you look at the most successful investors in history, you'll see a pattern of what we can call the boring truths. The greatest financial decisions out there, they almost never come with a dopamine rush. Consistent investing, living below your means, thinking long-term, avoiding emotional decisions. I mean, there is no exciting social media post to be made about waiting 10 years for an index fund to grow. You aren't going to get a flood of likes for resisting the urge to buy a car you don't need. Our society celebrates consumption incredibly loudly, but it demands that discipline happen quietly.
So let's talk solutions. Reclaiming your financial freedom through the power of self-awareness.
How do we actually escape this trap without turning into someone who just never enjoys life? Financial wisdom isn't about denying yourself all pleasure. It's just about knowing who is really in the driver's seat of your choices. Before you make your next major purchase, try using this completely game-changing filter question. If nobody else could see this, would I still want it? It's such a simple sentence, but asking it instantly strips away that massive, invisible influence of status and global comparison. It forces you to be honest about whether an item actually improves your life, or if you're just buying it to fill an emotional gap.
Another absolutely crucial realization is understanding the difference between what we see and what is real. The modern world makes looking rich ridiculously easy. You can rent luxury, borrow it, put it on an EMI, and show it off online. We call those visible liabilities. But true financial peace? You can't rent that. That is invisible wealth. The truly wealthy often don't look it because they much prefer owning assets that generate future choices over buying objects that just generate temporary admiration. They build quietly.
So the crucial point is understanding the psychological trap waiting for us if we chase those visible liabilities. It's called the hedonic adaptation effect. This is basically the human tendency where, once we achieve a new level of luxury, our expectations adapt almost instantly. That shiny new phone? Yeah, it's totally normal in a month. The bigger house? Just your standard living space by next year. It triggers this exhausting, endless search for the next upgrade. The finish line literally keeps moving.
This is exactly why the person who wins financially is very rarely the one who simply earns the most money. The winner is the person who understands their own psychology. The greatest investment you can ever make isn't in stocks or real estate. It's in self-awareness. Because when you finally understand the dopamine hits and the marketing traps trying to control you, you regain something infinitely more valuable than your money. You get your freedom back.
I want to leave you with a final provocative thought for today. When we look back at all the stress, the endless upgrades, and all that anxiety over money, was the real addiction ever really about the spending? Or was the real addiction believing that owning more things would finally make us feel like we are enough? Take a little time to reflect on that and really think about who is in control of your financial life. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.